Before the internet boom, Miami in the 1990s was a city defined by hustle and sweat. For the Gen X youth of South Florida, daily life was often dictated by the expectations of conservative, immigrant parents. These families had worked 40 hours a week just to survive, and they demanded that same traditional work ethic and rigid behavior from their children. We were a generation caught in a strange transition, too late for the hippie rebellion of the 60s and too early for the digital culture of the 2000s. That friction created a restless need to shake up the status quo and experiment with something outside the norm. When the pressure of work and family expectations became too heavy, we looked for a release. This tension eventually forged an underground sanctuary, a nocturnal space built entirely for rebellion. The epicenter of this movement was a club called The Edge in Fort Lauderdale. It wasn't a sleek, neon-lit lounge. It was an intimidating two-story warehouse painted completely black from top to bottom. The scene operated on its own clock. While the rest of the city was asleep, the doors at The Edge didn't even open until 3 in the morning. Outside, the line was a chaotic display of color. Ravers showed up in elaborate costumes, wearing vibrant purples and blacks, often accessorized with glitter, makeup, and springy headpieces that bounced as they moved. Stepping through those giant double doors meant leaving the mundane reality of a South Florida parking lot behind. You walked directly into a glowing, alternate dimension that the regulars called Wonderland. The entrance served as a filter. Once you were inside the black walls, your daytime role, whether you were a receptionist, a student, or a straight-edge kid, mattered less than your presence in the room. Inside, the main floor delivered a sensory assault. Every wall glowed with fluorescent rainbows and swirls under intense black lights, while 3 massive laser projectors sliced through the fog. Then the physical weight of the room hit you. 6 suspended 15-inch speakers pushed down a wall of bass so heavy it seemed to vibrate the very air in your lungs. The music, a mix of driving breakbeat and techno, functioned like an external heartbeat. It synchronized the movements of thousands into a single, unified pulse. This combination of extreme light and sound was designed to be overwhelming. It pushed you out of your own head and into a collective physical state, where you were no longer an individual, but part of a crowd. If the dance floor was the heart of the club, the outdoor patio was its sanctuary. Passing through the back doors meant trading the chaotic bass for cooler air and ambient music. Out here, a culture of connection took over. You could find massive groups sitting in circles on the tile floor, or interconnected trains of strangers giving each other massages. To enhance the physical sensations, people used rituals involving minty Vicks VapoRub and menthol inhalers. The cold air against the cream on their skin created a chilling rush that amplified every touch and every breath. Within these circles, the usual social cueing began to quiet. People from wildly different neighborhoods and backgrounds sat together, sharing water and conversation without the baggage of daytime expectations. It was a temporary suspension of the divisions that usually kept them apart. This was the real draw of the mega club, a sense of manufactured empathy. It allowed total strangers to experience a deep, uninhibited connection with one another in a way they never could under the Florida sun. As the sun rose over the patio stage, it painted the sky lilac. The DJs would shift into calming, ambient tracks, easing the crowd out of the night as the city began to wake up. Inside, the floor would clear, leaving space for professional breakdancers. They would battle to the intricate beats of DJ Icy, reclaiming the room for pure dance in the early morning light. The exit was always jarring. Thousands of teenagers would pile back into their cars, driving south in the harsh morning sun, alongside the regular traffic of people headed to work. For the kids who lived it, these weekends became a defining piece of their history. It was a time when the city felt small enough to belong to them, and everyone in that room felt like part of the same tribe. The legacy of those nights isn't found in a museum, but in the enduring sense of community for a generation that found its voice in the dark.